It's Wednesday, my crew. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. We're back. And I've got a snack, so I might take a few moments to eat that at various points. Apologies to anyone who is deeply triggered by anyone eating anything live on camera. But I found that if I don't eat a snack when the stream starts, by the end of the stream, I am like incredibly tilted. Hey, still needs work. How's it going? You made it in. Ship it. Hey, Ryson. All right, we've got one on Twitch, one on YouTube, where we can get this thing going. I've got my 2 viewers. That's all I need. I worked a little bit yesterday on stuff. I kind of was just working on an idea about how to like make my code less clever. Which sounds a little weird when you say it like that, but I think it's a good idea. Which is like, I think I was being too clever with the way I was writing some of this stuff. Like, my example is, you mean simplifying it? No, not really. To me, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by simplify. Like, to me, simplify means like make it more elegant. Like there's the elegance of simplicity. Like if you can solve something with fewer lines of code or like with less transformations, like that to me is simple. Hey, Nick. Hey, Scott. What I mean is like this, like we were, like the old way we did this, we were like trying to be too clever. Like we were iterating through each layer within just a for loop, and then we were figuring out, we just had all of these conditionals based on like which kind of layer we were iterating through. And it was getting kind of out of hand because we were only processing like 6 layers and only like 2 block types, or 3, I guess, if you count the doors. And I realized, like, as we add more block types and as we add different kinds of layers, this is just going to get more and more complicated, and we're going to need to add more and more, like, special cases and stuff. And so I kind of decided to, like, go the opposite direction, where I basically unrolled this loop, this for loop. Yeah, you got to strive to keep things simple, unnecessary cleverness. Yeah, it's almost like a kind of optimization. And like adding that at the end, I think is fine. But early on, when we're still changing stuff, I think it's really bad. So I basically unrolled this for loop. Into each layer. So we basically just go 1 layer at a time, and we just go through each area 1 layer at a time. So we do like the first layer, layer 0, which is the deck layer X, and I've just hard coded everything for the deck layer X. So notice how there's like no conditional. The only conditional is this like ternary here. And you could say it's like a lot of declaring of variables and stuff just to like do 1 check. But I think it's fine. And then we go through the next layer and it's hard coded. And then we go through the next layer and like this is where most of the conditionals are, is in layer Z. For the deck layer. Yeah, simplify means to you to just be functional and not really elaborate, so less complex. Yeah, I feel like doing something the simple way is usually more advanced than doing it the complicated way, though, especially in programming. So to me, it feels advanced to be able to like do the simple thing. So this is kind of simple in that it's added a lot of additional code, but it is like straightforward. Like, you know, you're like, I'm in this loop. We only care about 1 type of thing in this loop. And then we're in this loop and we only do 1 type of thing in this loop. And I think it'll be a lot easier to add additional things for now, because we can just say, if we add new layers, we just add a new layer loop at the end. We just append a new loop. And if any of the layers affect any of the others, we can be very like clear. Like when we do door stuff, that affects this one, so we've added door stuff to this one, and if we add something else, maybe that'll affect something else. But we can just be clear about it, and I feel like this is gonna be more maintainable over the immediate future. So we're just gonna get rid of this like very clever loop. I've already tested that this works, and I pushed the commit, so this is safe to delete. But it's like that last line, like set of code was like 120 lines of code or something like this, and this is like or no, the last thing was 80 lines of code, and this is like 120. So it's like I'm taking 50% more code, more lines of code to do the same thing. But like I feel like unrolling the loop was good. So I'm gonna try to just maintain this mindset going forward with this part of the process at least, because we're kind of doing the whole auto tiling in a single system, which part of me is like very unhappy with. +1 for excellent beard. Thank you. Thank you, bro heart. Plus 20% code quality bonus. Nice. How's your potato game going? Haven't seen you in a minute. Yeah, I'm not super happy having the whole tile system go through in one system as like just this big thing, but it lets us do some nice things. Like we can keep our working memory just in these dictionaries, and we only need to process the things that we are actually worrying about. The alternative would be like we could split the layers into entities, but then they would need buffers, and if they're gonna have like buffers, then I'm probably dealing with like a 2D array and not just like a dictionary. Because I can't put dictionaries into buffers. Buffer has to be like an array of like unmanaged simple types. Potato game is released. That's so awesome. You've been in you've been in the ICU, the newborn ICU for your new baby boy. Oh, congratulations. You're up to 1.01. There's some still bugs that are critically impairing new players that need to be addressed in 1.02. It sounds like you're busy, but that's awesome. You released a game. You welcomed a new member of your family. That's so cool. It sounds like 2025 is off to a great start for you. But I honestly don't have. I don't know how you're going to find the time. I'm glad to hear that they're doing well. You're also the director of security for a huge healthcare company and back to work last week. Ooh. Yeah, okay. I really don't know how you're finding the time. That's wild. Okay, so what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to do the same thing to this pass, but I might, because I want to change the way because we're dealing with this stupid thing. Just like a mild problem, but it's indicative of something more problematic. Which is like, if I place this thing, this is a floor and block chunk here, right? So this is the floor and the wall together. And the outlines disappear here, but if we try to do the same thing on the next layer, we don't get that nice, smooth, uninterrupted, that unbroken shape. So I need to deal with that. So we're not correctly removing the outline there. And I have a way to do it, but we need to change a couple things to do it that way. So I want to do that. So we probably will maybe rewrite this loop to be similar. Maybe not, though, because this loop just goes over all the keys in the dictionary. And it's kind of easier to do it that way. Like here, it's more natural to say, just go through everything and we'll figure out what layer you're talking about as you do it. You're working on a new cover album, new security software, and new Roblox platform game. Key is keeping good notes and accepting slow incremental progress. Oh yeah, that's that I agree with. That I agree with, because people are always like, "Oh man, you're on like episode 100 and something. Like, where's the game at? Like, why are we still doing this stuff? Why are we still working on like tools?" And I'm like, man, we've gone forwards, we've gone backwards, we've gone sideways, we've gone up, we've gone down, we've gone every direction. And progress is slow. I always think of like the intro to like the Lord of the Rings, where it's like, change comes slowly if it comes at all. And I just swap in the word progress instead of change. Sometimes the tools wind up paying the bills. Yeah, I'm hoping the tools will more than pay for themselves later on. Oh, you made a tool on you have a tool you made for the federal government 6 years ago, went on to become a really popular business software and pay most of your bills. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, at my day job, I'm writing a lot of tools and automation. Problem is they're like kind of half-baked because I don't really have enough time to work on them, and I'm the only person who knows how to use them. So they're at that exact moment where it's almost more work to like use and maintain the tool than it is to just do it manually. But I'm like, I'm really hoping this is the year where I like get through the rest of that, and I've just got all these sweet automations. I can kind of kick back and have more time to do other things, like write more automations. Infinite job security. Yeah, it is great to have. It is great to have written a ton of tools that no one knows how to use that are critical to doing the job. Until you want to take time off, then it's not so great. All right, so the problem with this, as I saw it, was that this part of the code here, this max axis index stuff, can get us to where we want. It can get us to, like, this can recognize if the block below us is the same as us and we need to just get rid of our outline. That's what this should be doing, but the problem is we aren't actually processing this case, which is new vector 3i 0 0 -1 new 0 0 -1. We need to start processing this case because this is how we're doing it in the old autotiler, but it's a little trickier than this because to this means -1 area, but we also need to refer to a different layer, and I need to do that somehow. And that's why I'm like, should I just unroll this? You're building up more passive income hard for this year? Yeah, I'm not at that point yet, but that's the dream for sure. Scott, you're saying the double-edged sword of being hard to replace in the corporate world. It's hard to promote you out of that position too. That is true. That is true. I'm pretty happy where I'm at because I'm like, I have time. Still Needs Work gifted the tier 1 sub to Broheart. Thank you so much, Still Needs Work. Enjoy the lurk. Thank you for the gifted sub. That's great. Oh, yeah.
Logic was impeccable, Captain.
Ship it. All right, so I could use this, so we can do this. The thing is, this check always fails because it's trying to get a value at an additional Z layer, but for our own, well, I guess it would get something, but it's trying to get, it's checking this, and it's trying to get this. So I would need to know, I would need to have a check here that's like, if axis is axis.z, do some stuff. I guess we can check to see if that would be sufficient. Let's just try something. I don't like this, but I'm going to do this. Axis is axis.z. We're going to say layer variable layer offset is 0. Let's say int layer offset is 0. Oh, I guess you want it to be var. So if axis is z, we're going to say layer offset equals 3. And then we're going to say key plus adjacent face. What we're going to do is we're going to say key plus new vector 4i adjacent face layer offset. Do I need to do this for the wall as well? I don't think I do. Yeah, I am going to roll this out because we're doing a bunch of weird stuff that we don't need to do for every single layer. I just want to check to see if I have the right idea as far as fixing this outline problem. Oh, the music is still going, huh? I never turned the music off. It's fine. We'll play the rest of this song. All right, let's see. So we're doing this, and now we're gonna do this. And it kind of, okay, we fixed one thing, so there's no outline here anymore between the layer and the thing below it. But now the wall is missing an outline and behaving weirdly here. I think I understand why. It's because we've added these Z vectors, but we can't actually do anything with them. So for the moment, we're gonna add another hack here. We're gonna say if adjacent face is matches vector 3i dot forward. Is forward negative? Yes. Continue. See if that fixes that problem. Nick, do you have a math background? Dealing with all this and matrix stuff would break your brain. Oh, I'm terrible at vector stuff. If I need to do actual matrix transformation stuff, I need to watch like a 20-minute video every time from like 3 blue, 1 brown. I do not have a math background. I actually never liked math. I'm like way more like a liberal arts person. I like history, I like philosophy. Closest I've gotten to like actual math study would be like things like some branches of philosophy or like stuff like Godot Bach was like good. Oh, we got it. All right, we got rid of the outline. Okay, so I understand mechanically what we need to do to get rid of the outline and just give us our big blocks here. Yeah, doing that in practice is going to be a little trickier. Just like regex, you don't love math, but you love it when physics works properly. Yeah. Yeah, regex, I don't go near regex. All right, so if I was going to write this loop again, but unrolled, I would write it like... How am I going to unroll it? I guess I'll make it as a switch case. That's how I would write it. So if I was to do this again, instead of this if layer or whatever, I'll just have a switch case for the different layers. So it would be... we'll just switch off of tile.layer. I feel like layer should be like an enum to make it a little safer. We're gonna make a layers enum. We're gonna also wrap it in public partial record struct tile. Oh. We just started playing this new song. I'm not going to play that. Boss Fight is a cool track, but we're not playing music the whole stream. We will run out of music in about 30 minutes if we do that. And I don't like wearing my headphones now because I got new glasses that the headphones are comfortable for like a couple hours or an hour maybe, and then I like have to take them off. All right, why is this not working? So I've got a partial, public read only. Oh, do I have to make this partial as well? Yeah, duh. If I have a long enumeration, I like to put it in a different file. So the layers is going to start from 0, probably. For now. I might change that. I realize I kind of want to maybe have a guide or selection layer above all the other layers. Kind of like how I have my line guides here, but like more for drawing out selections. Like if you click drag a selection, I'd like to be able to see a line around it or something like that. So I might add a layer, a line layer, or a selection layer 0 or something, but for now we're just going to do what we actually have, which is deck X is 0, deck Y is 1, C is 2, and then bulk X equals 3, 4, 5. Then we have door is 6. And I guess in theory we have deco is 7, but we aren't implementing deco yet, so we're not gonna like decoration. We're not gonna worry about that yet. This way, if I change these, I don't have to do it everywhere. I can just do it here. I don't want to hard code the tile layer numbers. So in that case, we say tile layer is an int. We're gonna change that. We're gonna make tile.layer layer tile.layers layer. So a constructor with a vector 4i would be tile.layer layers vector w. Oh, we can just say layers. That should be okay for now. Short array and a long enumeration. Yeah. Exactly. All right, so we'll write this out as a switch on the tile layer. We'll say case deck X rake. We'll write out the first 5 cases for now, or 6, I guess. Case tile.layers.bulk. We'll add a little safety catch here. We'll say something like, say, tile.layer is not supported. Yeah, that seems fine. Guess we can add the case for the door. Guess we're probably going to be writing that relatively soon. Actually, I'd rather have the doors case violently fail than to silently fail. So we're just going to go through this and we're going to hard code each thing. So we know axis isn't Z, so we'll remove that from the conditional. We're checking to see if we have a wall atop us, which is cool. So we're going to say holes.tryGetValue, say int tile.layer. We're going to say, instead of tile.layer, we're going to say 3, not 3. We're going to say tile.layers. If we're deck X, we're looking for bulk X. Why are we looking for this? Shouldn't we be looking to see bulk equals hull? Oh no, we're comparing our hull with theirs. Right. I have a hard time reading this, but that's fine. And then this is the iterate over every adjacent face. This we're gonna stop doing. We're gonna take this and we're gonna unwrap it. This is the same case of being like too clever, where instead of just hard coding a few cases, I'm just like iterating through this array. So we're just gonna take these 3 cases and go through them one by one. Where are we doing that? Here. So instead of this, we're writing so we're gonna say vector 3i adjacent face equals. Actually, no, we can just go through this 3 times. We don't need to declare this at all. So what do we do? So we need to check this. We need to see if we can get. You say if not hulls.tryGetValue vector 3i dot. What do we start with? What order does it go for this one? It goes up, down, forward. Vector 3 dot up. So we're checking our neighbor. What are we doing? We're checking our Y neighbors, right? Because we're the X face. So we're checking our Y neighbor, out haul, adjacent haul. we call this. It's probably going to get upset if I use the same name for all of these, but should be fine. And we don't continue. We say, if we're doing this, then we can do this thing. What's the thing we do? Okay, this is the trick. This is the stupid, overly clever thing I was doing. To like, Boolean goes up, down. You ain't got no problem spending all of my money. I get that. I got that reference. That's pretty good. Sorry to derail all. You were explaining how this was too clever. Oh yeah, no, it is too clever. What we were doing was we were passing in these direction vectors, and then I had this system that was like, okay, so let's figure out which component of those vectors was the biggest one. Absolutely. Like what magnitude of what direction are we going in? Let's figure that out. Let's figure out what the index of that, assuming you can make an index out of just a vector 3, which you can. And then here we're like, oh, is that index positive or negative? Or like, yeah, we were doing all of these checks of like, it's like, dude, it's vector 3 dot right. Just do the thing for vector 3 dot right. Then do the thing for vector 3 dot left. Like, it was too clever because it was like, oh, I can handle any kind of direction vector and we can figure out what we want to do. And it's like, well, just hard code it. Just be like, for vector up, just do this. For vector down, do that. Like, it was too clever. It was a system I carried over from the GDScript version of this, which we worked on for too long and maybe got a little too clever doing. And we're simplifying it. Later on, if we can make it, better, we're gonna do that. If we can roll it back up again, once we have all of the different conditionals and cases figured out, if we can figure out a refactor for that later, we'll do that. This is my vector dominance algorithm. Yeah, you gotta dominate those vectors, So for an x case, for vector 3 dot up, the problem is I have to go read through this and figure out what this case is now. If adjacent is not equal to hull, well, that's easy. So if adjacent matches, if it matches our hull, God. GDScript has broken me in terms of I don't want to put anything anywhere anymore. What did the autocomplete want to do? Oh, is it actually reading my code and doing it right? Let's see if this is correct. Adjacent hull is hull. Atlas chords is atlas chords with y equals atlas chords dot y plus 1. Is this right? So if this is right, this is going to be really easy to refactor. So if axis is not equal to z, and then if the absolute max axis index is less than 2, yeah, so if it's 1, which would be the y, the y would be 0. Atlas chords equals atlas chords with x equals atlas chords plus increment. The absolute max axis index is less than 2. So if it's 1 or 0, so if it's the x or y face, we do this. Atlas, so it didn't get it right. And then the increment, based on the adjacent face of the absolute max axis index. Why am I doing it this way? So we take the adjacent face, get the absolute value of it. We get its max axis. The index is casting that to an int. And then we go back and we look in. Oh no, this is the... We go grab the value of that. So we're basically just checking the sign. And if it's greater than 0, then it's 2. The increment is 2. Okay, so in this case, the increment is 1. But we're not modifying the y, we're modifying the x. This is all logic that dictates how we determine the tile set atlas chords. Basically, so like we look here, we look at our atlas chords. Let's pick something. We look at this. We zoom way in here. Kind of hard to read. Let's pick a better one. This one's a little brighter. So this has like outlines. So like this has both outlines. This is missing negative X outline, positive X outline, both outlines. So this is like the X outline permutations. And then if you go this way, you get the Y axis out, or the Y outline permutation. So like this is missing the positive, I guess negative, the way I need to flip the direction for our Y stuff. I need to reverse the numbering of our tile map layers. Because in Star Trek, it's traditional that the top deck is deck 1, and that's where the bridge is. And then you count from there. You count up from there as you go down, which lines up with Godot's the enemy's gate is down. Like your Y coordinate goes up as you go down in Godot. So that would be good and consistent. And that would mean the top level of the ship that like you can't stand on, that's like outside of the ship, like the top deck, not the top interior deck, but like the roof of the bridge, that would be deck 0. And I like that. I like deck 0 being the top outside part of the ship, and then you just start counting down or counting up as you go down. Perfection, yeah. Thank you. I like it. I think it'll be good. Yeah. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to reverse that everywhere, but I'll do that off stream at some point. Support that. Exterior deck start at 0. If I'd said -1, you'd be worried. Yeah, I would have been worried too. Someone who's willing to start counting at -1 is willing to do anything. So if it's Y, it's... So we go up and then down, or down and then up. Interesting how the vector pointing up in Godot 3D space goes back to normal. Is that true? Oh, it is. Okay, well, at least they are like, were kind of sane when they did this in 3D. That kind of changes my opinion a little bit, but I'm still gonna do what I want to do. Because I always do what I want to do. So if this number is positive, then the increment is 2. So, but because the absolute max axis index is still less than 2, meaning we're not dealing with axis z. What? This is such a duplicate, redundant check. I don't understand. Oh, no, we're saying, I see. We're saying is r axis not z, but is the direction axis z, or not, also not z. That makes sense. So, plus, it's x plus increment. So it's x plus 2. Yeah, sorry, this is kind of a refactoring day. But we're doing this for a very particular reason. We're doing this so that we can implement that fix that I did down here more easily, more naturally, with getting a layer offset when we're looking at hull types of a different level. Because the previous implementation only acknowledged the level. It didn't acknowledge the layer within the level. But we're storing these within the layer within the level, so we actually have to get both. Just a little trickier. Thank you for the clip, bro heart. Someone who's willing to start counting at -1 is willing to do anything. I love that. Thank you for getting me a good clip. Okay, so now we're gonna pull out vector 3i dot forward. I'm pretty sure I got all of these from the Godot vector 3. The directions I picked. It's questionable. I might have flipped up and down though. I should double check that. But I'm pretty sure I did. No, because if I was using my own coordinate system, I would say up is +1, not -1. Although, I don't know. I should double check that before I write all of these out. But it would be easy to change if I change my mind. Adjacent forward. Adjacent forward is the same as the hull. I should probably really make this if we can get a value and adjacent forward is equal to hull. I should probably do both rather than have this be a double nested thing. But I feel like I need to do it this way because what if adjacent... No, I guess that's safe to do because this isn't nullable. Although it is, isn't it? Try get value, maybe null when false. It's also a... No, it's a t value. Yeah, it's probably safer to do this. I tried messing around with my own try gets, and it's kind of annoying. Because you can't actually, if you're dealing with value types, you can't actually use like not null when without adding the question mark, without adding the nullable part. Kind of annoying. Like if you have a not null when true and you process the case of it being true, you should not have to declare, you should not have to make that out variable nullable, in my opinion. What do I know? The answer is very little. Okay, so now we're dealing with the actual z. So we need to think about this. So our axis isn't z, but we are going down to this case. And the value is a negative number. So the increment is 1 because the value is less than 0. Excuse me. So the increment is 1 and we're modifying the y. Okay. So it got that right. It got the increment wrong. JetBrains' little auto-complete thing is trying so hard. Yeah, this is gross to look at. This like unrolled like every case in a switch. And then like this enormous like, and then we have to go through all of these cases. Oh wait, why do we have 3 of these? Oh, because this is special. What's special about this? Oh, this is the deck checking its own wall. Are any of these exclusive? Probably, but we can treat them as being not. I am going to get rid of these spaces because it's like just too much. So Atlas coords, and then here we say alt tile ID. Alt tile ID equals 0. Break. Get rid of this. We have a break already. Break out of the switch case, and then down here we are going to... We find these variables to be unnullable. Yeah. We declare this. And we do this. Down here, we can do this part. Source ID might not be initialized. Okay, so I do need to do this. So 0. Actually, if we're going to initialize it like that, we should initialize it to something that is invalid. Okay. And so this is our old code that we are replacing. Okay, so this is the case here, this case. Make this a little smaller. Does Ryder have any suggestions for how to make this a little better? So if I invert this, yeah, you have no recommendation for me because we're not doing a continue. Can we though? Can we do a continue? No, we can't because we need to. We need to go through all of these. Yeah, this is just it. It's not pretty, but it works. That's the point. That's the point of this unrolling is to just break each case out and instead of and not have these like crazy handling every case using all this fancy like, well, take the enum, turn it into a number, do some operations on that number, get it back, do something else, blah blah blah. Like that's cool when we're done. I know I keep saying this out loud, but but it's to convince myself that I'm doing the right thing. Oh, what? Okay. It's really upset about having duplicate values declared. Okay, I need to declare them somewhere else and then just plug them in. That's what I need to do. It's kind of stupid, but okay. Haul, bulk, haul, uh, edge up. I guess I put bulk at the bottom. No, let's put it in the order we actually use it. Edge down. I need to make a. Can I use local variable edge up before it is declared? Don't understand. What if I get rid of this part? Okay. Fair. Okay, so that worked. Do I actually need to declare it? I don't, right? No, I don't. Okay, good. Can be declared in inner scope. No, because I need to reuse these. Because a switch statement, the cases of a switch statement don't count as their own scopes, I guess, which makes sense. Okay, now it's happy, because now I'm not redeclaring these every time. So this changes to bulk Y. Wait, why am I doing that? Oh, right, I know why. Can any of these be else ifs? Not these. These all need to be executed entirely. Yeah, aesthetically, this offends me deeply, but this is what I've decided to do because it's going to be straightforward and it's going to be easy to add on to later. I keep telling myself that. All right, so is your case exactly the same? So absolute max axis index is less than 2, so that means 0 or 1, which means x or y. The only difference is negative and positive. So let me check your inputs. So you start negative, then go positive, then go negative again. So you should be 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Cool. 2, 1, 2, 1. That's right. Okay, so this is identical. So that's a little frustrating in that I could actually have one case for these. Oh no, we're actually pulling out a different. So for now, this is fine. This is kind of stupid to redo all of this just with one parameter change. But this will be easy to refactor to make more acceptable to my aesthetic sensibilities later. It actually seems less important down here for the atlas coordinates than it was up here for the hulls. It was really helpful to unroll the for loops for each type of layer up here. It was really helpful. It really simplified things. Down here, I'm sensing less utility in doing this. So here, if we get this bulk Z, so if we have a bulk Z, no, then we do need to do this, don't we? Wait. Wait, how does this work for a Z for the Z face? Oh, do you not process the Z face? You don't. You go -1x, 1x, -1y, 1y. Okay, you only do that. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Tight, tight, tight. So instead, what I say is we go... Oh, I need to change the vectors. Right, these vectors are different. So this is left and then right. Vector 3 dot left. I can spell left. Give me a few tries. Right. Well, hold on. Hold on a second. No, yeah, that's right. Never mind. I know what I'm doing. I swear. So you go left, right, up, down. Okay. How's everyone doing? We got ads starting in a minute, so we're just gonna be chilling for a minute. I guess we might as well put these in order. So hull adjacent left, hull adjacent right, left, right, up, down, forward, and back. Actually, we're never going to check back, so let's leave that one out. So this one is a little different. So this is key plus vector 3i left, out adjacent left. There we go. Adjacent left is the same. Atlas coords are going to be, all right, let's figure this out. So we're in the else case now. Oh, but wait, our axis is, Z, so we're in this case. And we're only doing, so then we have positive, the y is incremented, negative, the x is incremented. 2 if it's positive, 1 if it's negative. So if it's a positive neighbor, like if it's vector 3 I dot right, the increment is 2 and the axis is y for the atlas coords. Okay, and if it's a negative, the increment is 1 and the axis is x. Okay. So the atlas should be x and the increment is 1. Scott McDonald, pretty good, fighting with a bug that's getting the better of you at the moment. You're telling me. I spent 2.5 days figuring out that that weird bug where I would drag across a shape and then try to drag it back, like I would change my mind and it would just stay there. I spent 2.5 days figuring that out, and it ended up being the stupidest thing that I should have easily spotted. Maybe a little more than a little embarrassed. So it's x plus 2. This is wrong, right? Are these all x? No. So the z stuff is y, or the y stuff is y. Okay. I think I'm getting this. Then we go up. I find the quicker I challenge my deep-seated assumptions about how the code works, the more quickly I'm like, I actually figure out what the bug is. It's kind of annoying. I always think I'm doing that, and then by the end of it, I realize I didn't question hard enough. So negative is 1, positive is 2. That probably is right. Oh, what about the hull? The hull is, or the source ID is int hull times 4 plus 1. And then deck Y alt tile ID is 1, not 0. For now, at least. It always seems obvious in hindsight. It always does, because the program is just doing what you asked it to. Unless you find like an actual problem with like the API or like some other thing that someone made, which is, I feel like it does happen, but is quite rare. It almost always is just something you wrote that does not behave the way that you expected it to behave. All right, so now we're going to copy this stuff over. And we're going to go through here, and we're going to see what the difference is here. Source ID, okay, so now it's 4 times 4 plus 2. So times 4 plus 2. Otherwise, the checks are mostly the same. We're checking the deck instead of the hull now. Right? So instead of this check here, doing this check, we're checking deck X. This matters less, admittedly. So if we're going down, it's plus 1. Right? Okay, it looks like otherwise this is exactly the same. Fox Shadow subscribing with the Prime. Thank you so much, Fox Shadow. How's it going? How's your stuff going? I'm so excited to see more of your ship game. I'm excited to play it is probably what I am. I never played the game that it's like inspired by, but you making it look so cool. Oh, let's not do that. Let's copy over the deck Y. Items are being removed from Google Drive. That's a little concerning. Wonder who's doing that. You're doing good? You just got off your own live stream? Oh shit. When did you start live streaming? Hey, no, Jewel. Yeah, please share some info on the game, Fox. You live stream very sporadically on YouTube? Oh, I see. You have two projects. One is a Sonic SatAM OST remake project. Not that one. I mean, that sounds great. That's cool. You do music stuff too, huh? The other game dev related project is the Starflight Genesis remake. The Starflight Genesis remake is great. Fox Shadow has some awesome devlogs showing that off. It's so cool. It's such a cool little spaceship game. I feel like we're checking. So the bulk Y is checking these, and then why are you checking one down? You should be checking one up when you're in a bulk. You should be checking the floor above you. So I'm doing this a little wrong. Plus vector 3 forward. No, it's plus new. It's key with, no, it's just going to be a new vector 4. 4i. Tile dot position. How should I do this? Should be key with z equals key dot z minus 1 and w equals tile equals int tile dot layers dot. So if we're looking at the, if we're at the floor, we're looking at the wall beneath us. Bulk X. Starflight was the OG sandbox, procedurally generated space sim, 1980s, you think? Yeah, 200. It had 200 star systems, 800 planets, unique races, etc. They did a big update for the Sega Genesis in the mid 90s. Played a crap ton of it. As a hobby game dev project, you're trying to remake the Sega Genesis game. Ah, okay. Look you up on YouTube. The O in Fox is the number 0. I had no idea, but that's good to know. Yeah, that would trip me up too. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Joel's doing some great stuff too. Your Energy Shield Godot add-on is awesome. Easy -1. Let's try to make that look normal. I love the value with, and then you can make your own assignments. I love this syntax. I know it's not like amazing, especially when I have to do something like this, where like z equals key dot z something. And it's fine if it's a short word, but if it's a long word, it starts to look kind of weird. But I love this. I love the with. I use it everywhere. I'm using it on every line of code here where I can. Um, okay, I think I fixed this. This was wrong. This z case I was doing incorrectly. Oh, you think you saw the shield add-on somewhere? Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so now we just keep doing that. So we can take this, plug that in here, and instead of, no, bulk, it's bulk Y. Otherwise, it's the same. I like that we don't have to do boundary checking because we're just doing a try get. So we don't have to like check to see if we're within boundaries of anything. There's just the try get will fail if we're at the edge. I like that. I enjoy that. That's part of the reason why I haven't split these layers out into their own entities or data structures or something. I really enjoy just being able to throw it all into a couple of dictionaries and only operate on what we're actually using. It's going to maybe need to be a little different once we're no longer in this editing context and like some of this stuff is fixed. But I'm still going to have to decide whether I actually want to store any of it in memory or if I pretty much just calculate it on the fly when we need it, because it's so cheap to do relatively compared to probably how much memory I would need to store everything. Scott, you think you might take off from the stream for the day? You need to just zone in on this bug. Good luck with the refactoring. Thanks, Scott. No worries. No, I know sometimes that's what I was doing the other night. I just put on some music. I realize the only thing that lets me focus is like music when I'm doing programming work. But for some reason, I always want to hear voices, like the human voice when I'm working. So I'll do what you're doing. I'll like put a stream on in the background, or I'll watch like a YouTube video or something. And at a certain point, I realize I can't have this voice in the background. Like I need to I need to focus down. So I get it. I really get it. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you. We'll see you later this week, hopefully. Good luck slaying the bug. The only good bug is a dead bug, as they say. All right, what about for this one? Okay, so this is never doing any cross-layer stuff. So this is fine. Deck Z face. Okay, so this is wrong. Left, right, up, down. This needs to be down. Why is this busted? What did I do here? Oh, why is everything broken? What? What is going on? Cannot resolve symbol Y. What did I do? Vector 2i, vector, everything has gone wrong. What if I just close this file and open it back up again? What the F? What the F is happening? All of a sudden, I must have some syntactical error somewhere that's destroying the entire compiler. But where? Last thing I was changing was around here. Yeah, everything is broken now. What the f... Let me just undo a couple times. No, it's nothing I did just now. I think something has gone wrong. It seems to be problems to do with my vectors. Ambiguous reference. Oh, did you add a reference to Godot or something? Get that out of here. Yeah. It erroneously added a Godot reference without me saying that's okay. And it got deeply confused by something. All right, so this is fine. We can change this back. So these need the same changes here. Except you're going, now we're going up instead of down. So we're saying key Z minus 1. Going plus 1 now. We're saying W equals casting of an int tile dot layers dot deck x, something like that. And now we're going down, so now it's plus 1 instead of, oh, now it's plus 2 instead of plus 1. This is a little weird. No, this is right. Oh yeah, that pesky stream stops running in the background issue. It's really, I mean, I get it. It costs so much money to stream this stuff out. I get just like shutting off the stream when someone like tabs out, but what are we supposed to do? Have like 3 monitors? So the guy with very close to 3 monitors. You know, it's kind of splitted. Right now, we have like the floor and the wall is part of the same block. I was kind of tempted to split them so that they were each their own block and we just had like an interleaved like deck then wall then deck then wall, but like I don't know. I might actually end up doing that eventually, but right now I'm okay with this. All right, Z. Okay, I think we're almost done with this part. And then that's like it, right? Because the last pass is just this stuff, and this stuff is mostly fine. We need a cast of the layer to this. This doesn't actually do any layer-based processing, so that's fine. Oh, my mouse is dying. Let me plug that in. Can't be having that. Actually, this mouse is really unpleasant to use when it's plugged in. Switch to my other mouse that I conveniently have here. I'm really silly. I have like the MX like horizontal mouse, and then I have like an MX like vertical mouse, and they're just next to each other. So now we're vertical mousing it. Luckily, I'm not playing like a shooter or anything. I actually find this ergonomically like far superior, but my like I like the vertical mouse a lot better from an ergonomic standpoint. But the horizontal mouse, the MX Master mouse that I have, that's the other one. That's the 3S or whatever. It has a sideways scroll wheel, which I've gotten really spoiled about. It has like the horizontal scroll wheel. I'm like really into that now. Because a lot of my job involves like very large spreadsheets. It's really nice to be able to just scroll sideways down a spreadsheet. All right, so we copy this over. We say +2 +1, which is a little silly, but it makes sense for what we're doing. And the logic is exactly the same for this one, I think. All right, we've successfully unrolled the like loop. We're going to try this and see what kind of bugs we have. Horizontal scroll, the things they don't teach you in college. I know. I mean, what they teach you is probably to like not have that many columns, but sometimes you got to have a spreadsheet with like 30 columns. Sometimes it's not an option. Okay, well, we didn't break anything, so that's good. So far, so good. Let's see if we can make Mega Cube now. We should be able to. Okay, so it's working on the X face, but not the Y face. Why is that? Why is that? What is this little thing doing? So the X bulk is not finding its own X floor. So the X wall is not finding the X floor. Why? Why is that happening? I probably just have something mistyped here. Key with W is that correct? Am I using that everywhere now? No, I'm doing this. So I want to say key with W equals this. Why is that? I get that. I get the joke. Oh, Scotty Flops, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. How's it going? Welcome in. We're refactoring our code to make it stupider, which is a weird thing to optimize for, but I think it's going to help us going forward. So up, down, left, right. Some aspect of this is wrong. Let's see if I've made both of them wrong by changing this. Okay, so it works here. Wait, why did it only work one layer down? Oh, and why is it only not working exactly here? What? So if I do it here, it's fine. But I think I know why. If I do it here, it's not. We're exactly overlapping with another layer here. So there's something weird. So when we have a level above us, we're running into this issue. Perplexing. What if we add just like a floor? Does this problem persist with the floor? Yes, it does. What if we have like just a wall? Oh, the wall is not doing good either. Look at the wall. I think I've flipped a sign somewhere. Yeah, I've flipped a sign, or I'm incrementing by 2 when I should be incrementing by 1 somewhere. We're working on an auto tiler, by the way. See, now this is making sense to you. You're speaking. I'm speaking your language. Stupider is always better. Yeah, well, we had these loops. I've deleted most of them, but we have these tile map layers that we handle differently, and we basically just had one loop that tried to like assign. It tried to mathematically determine like what we should do for each layer, and it became this gnarled mess of conditionals. And so I was like, we're unrolling the loops. We're just like we're gonna do each loop for each layer by itself with its own code. This way, if we need to expand the functionality, like if we start adding additional layers, which we will, it's a lot more obvious where new block types are touching each layer, and it's a lot more obvious where the implementation for the layer is. But yeah, we might change that later on, but right now we're trying to just do it simple and stupid. We're trying to keep it simple, stupid, as they say. Okay, so why is this wrong? So let me validate some things. So for a floor, we should be checking the opposite. We should be checking our compatriot layer here, making no other change. Let me just rewrite this because I've decided this is how I want to write this. Yeah, we're trying to adopt the like Randy school of game dev, which is like you start with the simplest, most caveman implementation that you can get. And then when you need to make it more complicated, you make it more complicated. You don't just start making it complicated. I have these aesthetic code sensibilities that like make me want to make it complicated. I want it to be elegant. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be that kind of simple. I want it to be that elegant kind of simplicity where it's like very dense. But that's an optimization, which means we need to not do it before it's necessary. All right, so floors are misrecognizing their neighbors above and their neighbors below, but they're only doing it. Let's double check this. I'm pretty sure this is only happening on the Y faces. So we do this, and then we throw something down here. So yeah, that's the Y face, the face that's facing that way. This is the Y face, right? Because it's along the Y axis. Or do I call that the X face? I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure this is the Y face. But it would actually, yeah, because this is the Y axis, bottom left to upper right. So this is the Y face because it's not along, it's in the direction of that axis. And then it seems like walls are also misbehaving. Like if I throw up some walls here, yeah, it's misidentifying. But it's only doing this for the Y faces. The X faces are perfect. The Y faces are malformed. There's the outline specifically. Okay, that helps isolate the problem. That means I've flipped something here. I really hope the alt tiles aren't arranged differently than the regular tiles, because right now we're using alt tiles for the Y faces. All right, so let's double check. So if axis is not equal to z, this is the case we're in. And if the index is less than 2, so this is also the case we're in. X, so we assign to the x, and we increment. Oh, but the problem we're running into is not with the XY stuff. It's only the Z stuff, so it's this case. So the increment should be for negative, it's 1, and the affected axis should be Y. Is that true? Or not so much is it true, but is that what we're doing? That's the real question. Y plus 1, oh, this is the wrong area. Y equals Y plus 1. Y equals Y plus 2. Do I have that backwards? So like if we look at our layer here, so down is +1. Down is in like below us, and above us is +2. Okay. So if I'm checking, so for a floor, we're checking above us, that's +2. That's correct. Checking below us, +1. And it's both to the y. Okay, so the annoying thing about this is that as far as I can tell, what we're doing here is correct. Oh, but this is the x. The x is correct. What are we doing on the y that's different than this? It's seemingly identical, which is concerning. Possibly we could be writing something down incorrectly. Or what's really frustrating, which is also possible, is that the alt tiles are arranged incorrectly. No, they borrow the same Atlas chords as their parent. Or as whatever their source tile is, I guess the better way to say that. So that's right. I'm going to figure this out. Is it the wall that's not working correctly in this case, not the floor? That's very possible. So we're looking above us. How am I iterating through here in terms of area? Going 0 right now means the bottom, right? And we go up. I do want to change this so that 0 is at the top, but I have not done so. I'm going to just trust that that's what's happening there. So this seems to be wrong. So we're checking our own floor tile. And if our floor tile matches, then we add 1. That's correct. If the floor above us matches us, then we add, oh, this shouldn't both be +1. Well, there's a problem right there. So this should be 1, 2. So this should be 2, 1. 2, oops, 1, 2. 2, 1, 1, 2. These should be the same for both of these. Well, let's try 1, 2 for now. See if that's it. Hard-coded numbers? I know. This is what I'm talking about. This is part of our unrolling process. Is we're just putting down what is exactly there. Like what should exactly be there. All right, it's fixed. We seemingly fixed it. Let's see about the last case here. Well, it's the opposite of the numbers that I thought it should be, but that's fine. I can live with being off by 1. All right, all the outlining. We got our 1 mega block. Our beautiful mega block. We need to work on this next, which is the whole like exclusivity thing. Where if I place a tile on a block that has a wall, or if I place a wall on a block that has a floor, it's deleting the floor and placing the wall, and vice versa. This is correct. I feel like if you place a floor on a block with a tile, that means I'm like trying to carve out this space, or a block with a wall. I think this is correct behavior. But this is very much not correct behavior. We should not be getting rid of the floor. Oh god, and why is it saying... Wait, that's wrong. Is it just not drawing it, but it's still technically there? This is bad. Doesn't make a ton of sense. This should not be like this. Fascinating. Okay, I need to figure that out first. Fox Shadow, you want to make sure that the tile is labeled as a floor, otherwise I would have thought it was a short wall. Oh, it'll be super obvious when you actually see it. It will be very obvious. But yeah, that's a good point. Once we have little dudes wandering around and you can put like computers and like once there's stuff in the space to like give it scale, yeah, it'll be pretty clear. But yeah, I should label those. Cool. We're gonna get rid of this code because we're not using this anymore. This overly clever code here. And so again, we're doing less with more code, but this is super clear and it made it easy to fix that one problem, which in the other system would have been much harder to fix. So this is less brittle. I mean, it's brittle in the way with, yes, we have hard-coded numbers, but like this will be easier to fix later once it's finished. It's flexible right now is what it is. This whole unrolled process. It's like become like hundreds of lines of code, which is a little much, but it is the whole auto tiler. So get rid of these things, which we don't use anymore. Wait, what? Oh, I got rid of too much. Get rid of these things. There we go. All right, so that problem means that somewhere up here, when we are looking at the bulk layer Z, which I can at least identify as only this section of code, which is nice. So there's an issue here where we're checking, we're saying, is op block empty? This is not correct. We need to say, is op block a deck? .has block.forms.deck. That's actually what we want to check. All right, so now if I place walls here but no floors, which I agree makes no sense. In most cases, you would never want to place a wall if there's no floor. I'm trying to deal with the trick of like the bottommost layer where you might want to put some like aesthetic things to cover it, but I might not allow that in point of fact. And I might actually change the way this works. So we have this block of walls, and what if I put something underneath it? Oh, what the F is happening? This is not the correct behavior. already. Okay, so whatever I did made this work worse. So we're saying if op block has this. No. I need to flip this. We need to say if not op block has that. Actually, I don't like this of a ternary operator which has all of its question marks in a row. I'd rather just say this. So if it's that, it's this. Otherwise, do this other evaluation. I think I prefer this. So yeah, so if the op block has the deck, our hull is the middle hull. Otherwise, let's do this other condition. I think I prefer to structure my ternary operators this way. I know like compounding ternary operators is like kind of bad form because it's kind of unreadable, but like I think it's fine. If this, then this, else if this, then this, else this. Like, I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it could be worse. Hard-coded numbers, compounded ternaries. He's a madman. This is game dev. Game dev is dirty. Okay, this is working now. So like now you can see this is all the lighter gray, even though there's a layer on top of it. It's because that layer doesn't have a floor. But if we add that floor back, now it's the dark gray. Okay, that's what we wanted to see. So that is fixed. Yeah, having these domains split out like this is really nice. It's really explicit what's going on here. I could probably figure out a way to clean this up if I really wanted to and make it like hard to read, but that would kind of go against the principles of what we're doing here. All right, so what are we going to do next? Someone stop him. Yeah, I need to be stopped. I've gone crazy. We're not doing optimization now. What we're doing is pessimization. We're like trying to make it worse. That's what we're really trying to do here. What could we do next? So some of the features that we are missing from this version are like, we can't yet do this, which is a fun, it's more of a party trick than it is useful. Oh, I know what I'm what I need to do next, but still, we can think about this for a second. Oh man, our new one is way more responsive than this. I need to see if it still does this when I drag across like this, because this is a really weird artifact of our old system. Should see if the new system does this, where it like swaps between tile types for some reason. But there's this party trick where I can do this. I can like make a wall, and the latency is bad in this version. Oh, it's the cutaway system. The cutaway system is fighting with this. I see what's happening. We do need to implement the cutaway system sooner than later, but let's not do that right now. I want to do it differently with this one. With this version, I want the cutaway system to be, oh, that's curious. I want that to be part of the, I don't want to be modulating the tile cells. I want to actually be cutting away the tile data that we're sending to the renderer. Like, we just don't include those tiles. And it's so cheap to re-render the whole tile map or to recalculate the whole tile map in a frame that it's like, I think that's just the easiest way to do it. Especially since the tile modulation seems to be causing some engine problems. But yeah, we could work on doing this little party trick of being able to like make rooms. Oh, we also need to implement the flood fill algorithm so that we can actually tell the hull differences, tell the hulls apart. That's probably something we should do. But the first thing I want to work on is that exclusivity thing I was talking about. Yeah, look at all these weird random PLM root things. I'm pretty sure this has to do with tile cell modulation, but I don't know. I actually don't. I tried to looking up what this is, but it seems to be caused by a number of different things in a number of different circumstances. And it doesn't really affect anything, seemingly, so who cares? Not me. I can't wait till I can clean up this project file and get rid of a bunch of this old stuff that we're currently still using, but don't actually want. So yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is this exclusivity deal. Let's think about that for a second. Because right now the problem is when we place a wall down, we get rid of the whatever else was there, like it overrides it. It ands it right now where we want we want an or in some cases. But if I place a floor over a wall, we actually do want to override that. So we don't always want to or it. Sometimes we do want an and. So where is the difference there? It's like if we place a door, we want to leave the floor but get rid of the wall, right? And if we place a wall, we want to leave the floor but get rid of a door or anything like that. So there's like, so walls and doors are exclusive because you can't have a wall and a door in the same block. A floor is not exclusive of a wall, but if I'm painting over a floor, if I'm painting a wall over a floor, I probably want to get rid of the wall. So this is probably another case where maybe we do some more unrolling and we just handle the cases very explicitly instead of trying to be clever. Let's actually see where we're doing that, in the code. Keep forgetting I can just escape out of the build. So where are we doing the block stuff in the tool system? The tool system is kind of a minor nightmare right now. I did a bunch of stuff to improve it, but I didn't make it more like legible. I just split off some functions into their own functions, and I added a bulk modification. So we can reveal a block at one position, or we can reveal blocks in an area, or we can reveal blocks like in an area that also are not in another area. So like there's a lot more stuff we can do now. Are we even using this reveal block at when we pass in the span? I don't like this. This should be part of preview block at. Yeah, I don't like the preview block code. And we actually don't have the eraser code working at all at the moment. Actually, we just don't have a way of engaging the eraser, I guess. Some of these streams go by so fast, I feel like I don't have any time to do anything. And then some of these I'm like, wow, I have so much time. I could do anything. I could do everything. We could do it all. Our potential is limitless for the next hour. All right, so the thing I want to address is this exclusivity thing. So for that, when we're doing a placement, we do this stuff. This is our continuation of it, which just works now because we're doing like boundary checking and clamping and all of this stuff. Stretch from No Jewel. Thank you. Thanks, No Jewel. I did just realize I'd been standing in like the same pose for quite a while. Appreciate that. All right, so the thing about this is we don't really consider the type of tool that we're currently using like at all. Like we don't think about it at all. We just have this active block tool, which is just a block. It's just a single block. And the thing about that is we actually want this tool, we want to call this to be like, we want to call this like a brush or something like that. Because we actually want this to be way more complicated than just a single block. We want it to be like, we want to be able to like grab a selection and then move it, right? Loki Trickster, hey, how's it going? Afternoon to you as well. How are you doing? Right now, it's just one block that we are just propagating everywhere. So I guess we'll start by dealing with that. And then we'll make it more flexible from there. We'll make it into like, I guess, like an array or something. I guess we don't want it to be an array because it might be sparse. It might be sparsely populated. We could just make it a dictionary, I guess. Or we could have selection be different than like the block tool. Because I don't know. We have our palette thing here. We have our like basic block palette, which is like right now it's just these three. Maybe I should reposition these so that this is like low. So that this one is like down here. So that you can see that this one goes on top of this one. Because yeah, right now it's a little weird. It's a little unclear, like Fox said, whether that's like a floor or just like a half wall or something. You doing all right? You're working? For sure. I feel that. Well, we're like halfway through the week, so if that's consolation. It is to me. It's a consolation to me. I have been so busy at my day job. But I really appreciate having the stream. It's the thing that really like keeps me working on this game. Like just knowing that I have like about 3 hours a day set aside for this game during this time, plus whatever I'm able to do in the evenings, like at meetups or whatever. But having this dedicated time with everyone here, hold me accountable. Let me know I'm a madman and I need to be stopped. And knowing that nobody can stop me, that I can just do this unimpeded, it helps. All right, so what we need to do, excuse me, we need to add somewhere in here, we need to actually check to see what our tool is and to have some rules about how that works. Maybe for now, the easiest thing is we just make them, no, we can't do that. There needs to be some exclusivity. So these are bit flags, the block forms. So is there a way of enforcing certain combinations? I guess there is. We could do it. Probably be easier to just have a switch case somewhere. So it would be like we're doing this, like when we're doing place blocks in, we're going through. Uh, we get the index to the buffer, so the span. So the span index, that's our thing. We're just right now we're overwriting it with the active block tool. What we want to do is we want it to be. We kind of want to have. I guess the simple caveman thing to do is to just have a switch on span index dot form. And we can say blockform.box. What is that? That's not a block form. Why this writer AI, it just kind of hallucinates sometimes, which I guess it makes sense. I kind of like it in some cases and dislike it in others. It's kind of the only generative AI I actually deal with on a regular basis, besides like I guess the Gemini search. Just because Google search automatically triggers a Gemini prompt, and there's no way to turn it off. Okay, so if span index is because the thing is we're gonna be switching on both the block that we're we're switching off of both the block that's currently there as well as the block that we want to place. That's kind of annoying. I don't like doing nested switches, so I'm gonna see if I can get away with not. Let's just cover the basics right now. So we switch off of our tool first. I don't know. We'll see. Block.forms.hand? Like what are you talking about, AI? Just read the enum. Just go look up the enum. I maybe don't understand how this thing does what it does. It's not actually reading any of my code. I think it can see code that's maybe in the same file, but it doesn't seem like it's actually scrutinizing any of my other code. Block.forms.sol, block.forms.freedom. I know. I have command.args, which is like all the command arguments that a player could input. And every time I'd go to add a new command.arg to the list, the AI automatically just writes in command.arg.help. And I'm like, it's like it needs to add a help. And I'm like, this is concerning. Loki, you're doing a little day job. You got some personal projects. You're working from home due to the snow. It's a bit slower day. Well, that's nice. A bit of a snow day. Hopefully that's nice. To me, I don't live in a place where it snows, so to me the idea of snow is like kind of wondrous, but I know when people actually deal with like ice on the roads and stuff like that, like in like 6 feet of snow out your door, it's like not the same. You would much prefer there to be no snow. Understandable. Understandable. All right, so if we're trying to overwrite a deck, yeah, this is really stupid. Okay, so if we're trying to write a deck, so if we should probably just switch on the active tool first, right? Active block tool. Active block tool dot form. So if the form is this, and if the span index dot form is block dot forms dot bulk, I guess if you put down a floor, that should probably override everything else that's there, huh? I guess we want to say has dot has, or no, we want to say span index dot has block dot forms dot bulk. I guess let's just handle the simplest case. I know this is going to get like really rough once we start adding like variety to it. So yeah, so the floor will override the wall, but a wall will not override the floor. But a wall will override the door. Yeah, this is a little weird. So if span index dot has block dot door, block dot forms dot door, then we don't want to do the same thing. Yeah, that. But else we want to do span equals span in span oh shoot, how are we going to actually do this? Because we're not actually just setting the form. We actually have more things than just that. We need to be a little more precise. The form is just a bit field of like what the type of thing is, but it's actually got more data in the block than that. It's actually got information about some like directional stuff. What we should say is span index equals span index with form equals. Can I do and equal? No. Or equal? That's what I want. This is gonna. I need like a merging tool. Some kind of merge tool here. I need to be able to merge blocks together to be able to do this competently. This was a lot easier in the old system, but that's because the old system was just an enum. Like we didn't have any additional payload we were sending with it. So right now, okay, so now, nope, it still does it. It still just overrides the floor. That's concerning. Is it because this is a preview block move and not... Okay. Maybe what we do is we have like a function that's like merge blocks. Like a block merge function of some kind. Block merge. I'm going to have a secondary and a primary so that we can favor one of them. Return. Okay, so we're going to return a merged block, but we're going to do... So we'll do the switch case here rather than here. because I would need to put this in every single function, which is insane. So instead, for this, we're going to say span index equals merge block. The primary is, I don't know, primary and secondary probably don't make sense. We could say incumbent. So there's the incumbent block and there's the merging block. I don't know. Emerging. No, the emerging block is probably what's returned. I don't know what else I would call this. Whatever. Antonyms for incumbent. I can totally spell this word, given like 2 to 3 tries. I could say occupant. And then I could say like usurper. I don't know. The incumbent and the usurper. I want to be able to deal with them differently. Not resolve symbol merge block. Oh, I called this block merge. That seems stupid. Merge blocks. This is really dumb. I'm gonna need to think. I don't know why I haven't thought more clearly about this, about what I'm gonna do with this. The occupant is span index. The usurper is the active block tool. The aggressor is better. Oh, I deleted the switch case. Oops. So yeah, here I'm just gonna put some insane logic about what overrides what. So I guess let's talk about what's coming in. Let's say existing and incoming. So depending on the incoming block, let's only look at the form for now. So block.forms.deck break. We're gonna keep this simple right now. AI is so dumb. Why does it do this sometimes? Like, what is wrong with you? Oh, it's not a semicolon, that's why. What's wrong with me is the better question. Existing form is also that. It doesn't matter. I guess I should only deal with contradictory things. If existing has block.forms.bulk, then we want to say return new block say forms is the incoming dot form. Let's only worry about this for now. So in that case, we can actually just say the incoming block is overwriting. There are more parameters that we're going to need to deal with, which is why I'm potentially setting this up to be more complicated than it currently is. If existing.has block.forms.door, this has forms or, oh, can I should probably have more versions of this has. Yeah, I need a better version of has. I have a version of this which iterates through for components, maybe? Or maybe composition? How does composition do has? Because the composition checks more than one flag. Has, component.flag's a component. There's components and component is, okay, what about, is it overlaps? For each component.flag's component in this, if other.has component. So we go through every component we have, and if the other has that component, we return true. Okay. I could do something like that. I kind of want like a has any, or like a has all. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to block. Let's make a has any. Public bool has any forms. Then now we need to do kind of the same thing where we need to go, we need this. We need like this for each. So we're going to say for each component, well, for each block dot forms, form in form. What? Oh, do I need to make this IEnumerable or something? I do. That's unfortunate. Not exactly what I want to do. Oh, but that's because I need to iterate through all of them. Right. Yeah, okay, I can do that. We just basically take this. IEnumerable for block.forms. Just add them. Just do it. Then we're going to say for block.forms, perform in enum.getValues type of block.forms. Components and component equals component. If form and form equals form, yield return form. Now, you don't need to put the blocks part. Okay, I can do this now, so why are you still upset with me? Here we have overlaps. I should probably call this for has any, which I can because nobody references this. For each flags component in this. Oh, I need to say in this. This. Oh, so. Oh, this is not exactly what I want. This is why I called this overlaps. We're checking to see if we overlap with another form. So here we're going to say block other. This is not exactly what I want. I want to be very particular. So I guess I gotta just raw dog this here. So I just gotta say for each form in enum.getValues type of forms, here we can say, so for every form in this forms, oh no, this is for every form in all forms. So we have to iterate through every form. We have to ask if forms and form equals form. So if we have this form, why is this like bracketless? I guess I decided at one point I liked bracketless. If forms, so if forms and form equals form. So if this form is in the request, has any. So if it's in here and has form, return true. Otherwise return false. Okay, this is a little inefficient, but it's fine probably. So lets me submit a series of forms and ask if we have any. If we have any of these forms. This is really simple, but I wonder if I just want like a forms dot is or match or something like that. Forms dot match instead of having this typed out because this is a little silly. But I guess it's clear what this is doing. It's clear that this is like a bit flag thing that's happening. So I guess in that way it's good. So now we can at least answer the question of has any, which was quite a little side tour I just made. So we can say if existing dot has any block dot forms dot bulk or block dot forms dot door. So basically, if any of these things are over here, just fully overwrite, which is kind of stupid because I think I could also have just said if we're putting down a deck, overwrite everything. But I kind of don't want to just do that blanket as a blanket policy because we might change our mind about that. But putting down a deck might be like a way of resetting. Although what if someone just wanted to expand a floor past where it already was? I don't know. Maybe that's not actually how I want to do this. Maybe I always want them to merge unless there's a very particular conflict. Private static block merge blocks. Let's try this. Let's try not to be clever. Let's try to just do the simplest, most brute force thing and just go with that. That's our watchword for now. Be simple. Do the dumb thing. So if we're trying to place down a wall and we have a door, we return incoming. Else, we're going to return something weird right now. So we're going to return new block. It's going to be existing dot form or incoming dot form, and we're just not going to pass anything else. What do you want? Convert to an, yeah, sure. Why is this upset? Return statement is missing? I mean, what, you want me to have a default case? Default, throw new. Can't use this, it's a static member. Return statement is missing. I mean, oh, here, return. Then we want to do this thing. Well, in this case, we want to just return this, right? We just return the merging of the two forms. So in some cases we do an overwrite, in other cases we merge them. All right, this isn't the worst. This is somewhat acceptable. We're going to say unsupported. Merge. Merge block argument. Hey, Ryson. Today's one of those days for you. Your new sump pump burned out and the batteries in 3 of your parents' cars died overnight in the cold weather. Oh, that's terrible. Scott says keep your deck clean and do the dumb thing. That's the right way to do it. I wanted to avoid doing like nested switch state cases, but switch statements. But like sometimes we might actually just end up doing that, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that, Ryson. That sounds like a lot. Is there like a big storm moving through places? Cause like Loki has snow. I guess it's winter. It's like deep winter. I'm a Californian, so to me, like winter doesn't. Winters here are confusing and weird. Like we had a huge wildfire, like, because it's winter. I don't know. All right, let's see. The deep south got a blizzard. Smooth in a second. Okay, that might explain some things. Shows I've been honestly trying to avoid reading the news since like Monday. So I'm more ignorant about what's going on than usual. All right, what am I testing for? Okay, so we're going to try to put a wall down, see if that... Okay, so it's still overwriting. Oh, but that's because the preview block is not making use of it. The placement should work. Okay, so the placement's not overwriting. But if we place a floor, we can override these walls. I feel like that's how floor placement should work. I feel like if you're specifically wanting to override, or if you're trying to clear a space away, you might do this. I can think of cases where maybe that's not the intended use of using a floor placement, but we could probably have like an analysis of like compatibility, but that doesn't really tell us either because floors and walls are compatible. So we could do this other thing where if two blocks are compatible, we just let them combine. And we make the player switch to an eraser mode if that's what they want to do. If they want to like erase walls, make them switch to eraser mode. But I kind of like this. I think if you pick the floor tool and you start drawing it, it makes sense that it kind of erases things above it as you go along. I don't know. Ryson, you're a Midwesterner there. Oh, it's just cold then for you, isn't it? Inches of snow in Louisiana to Florida. Wow. You said something was good for mental health, Smooth in a second, and I don't remember what you said, which is probably good for my mental health. The fact that, oh, you're talking about avoiding the news. Yeah, right. Yes. Or I was talking about avoiding the news. Okay, so now instead of this raw assignment, except in the case of hidden blocks. When hidden blocks are being set, we don't do the merge blocks, but if we're placing a new block, we do a merge. Hidden blocks.triad coords span index. This is a little awkward because what do we add to the hidden? Oh no, we just add the current thing to the hidden blocks. Yeah, that's correct. So here we're also going to say span index equals merge blocks span index. Okay, that should work for preview blocks now. So if I just mouse over with a wall, yeah, okay, we don't get the weirdness anymore. I do think maybe I should enforce if you place a wall, it also places a floor. Like, should I enforce that? I'm trying to think of a case where you wouldn't want that, and I can think of a few. Like, if we're in like a corner, like let's say we have a section that's like 2 Z levels tall. Like this is a ceiling and like let's place some walls around the edge here for this thought experiment. So let's say we've got like a cargo bay or something, or like an engineering bay, or oh, oops. Oh, crash. Oh, I don't support both. That's a good catch, actually. Case block dot forms dot both. In this case, we just return incoming. Ryson, appreciate the sympathies. It isn't the end of the world, just a lot of things going wrong at once to deal with. No, I feel that. I feel that. There's like a finite number of setbacks one can experience before it becomes like kind of debilitating. So we've got this area, so we're gonna add some walls. We're gonna add both. So we're gonna add walls and floors. Which currently, oh, I'm already doing this wrong. This and then this. Oh, what just happened here? We just jumped. Let's try that again. I'm actually curious about what just happened there. Did the registration of my mouse, like, did I lose that for like a frame or something? Or did I maybe leave the buildable area for one frame? All right, so here's the buildable area. Getting a wall, getting another wall, getting another wall. So we're making this like 2-story room, right? So we'll do another one here. I probably could have just described what I was thinking of, but I kind of want to look at it. See if I actually think that's a good idea. It won't really make any sense until we have angled shapes. But for like aesthetic reasons, it kind of makes sense that you might have this room. I really need to implement the what do you call it? The visibility cutaway system, like very soon. So if you have this room that's like multiple floors, right? It kind of makes sense that maybe in the upper corner, maybe you want to place like an angled wall piece that's like a fixture that's like it like curves inwardly or something, like an aesthetic like piece. It kind of makes sense that you might want to do something like that. So I feel like I shouldn't enforce that there are floors, but it is a little unintuitive if I do that, if I allow that sort of thing. Like if I allow you to just place walls by themselves. But I do have both. So maybe I just need to, I mean, for the tool is for me. This is another thing I need to remember is the tool for now is just for me. It needs to work. It doesn't need to handhold people. It doesn't need to explain things. It just needs to like function because I'm using it. And I'm probably the only person who's going to use it for a few years. So I keep jumping ahead in my mind to like, oh, well, what if someone is like learning how to use it and like needs to figure it out? It's like, no. Nobody's using this. Just me. All right, merge blocks is simple. I think this is fine. We're handling most of the simple cases. What could we do next? We could try to do the cutaway system. That might be a little much. Or we could try to start working on the flood fill. Or what we should probably do is handle rotation. We should probably handle map rotation probably before we do anything else. Because we have everything plugged in to be based around camera rotation, but we're not actually attempting to change the camera rotation at any point. Like, what happens if I just do it? I mean, I know it's going to fail, but, like, I guess I should run the debugger. If I know it's going to fail, I should run the debugger. So let's say I, like, create this, and then I try to turn 90 degrees in a direction. I don't even know what the key binding is for that. Oh, do I have it not connected? I probably don't have it connected. Or I'm not doing anything with it. Let's figure it out. View, twist. So here we're just raw dogging it just in the input handler here. I've said that too many times today. I need to stop. But we're not waiting for an input event. We're just listening for the keyboard input, which is fine. It's a keyboard input. It's unlikely the UI is going to consume keyboard input. I think for mouse input, it's way more important to have it be like handled through events. because it might be intercepted. So we are probably receiving the action. And then what are we doing with it? So view twist 1 or -1. Let's look at the view system. Twist. Int angle int game view plus int parse command next step. Game view equals angle 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 angle. And then it goes here to die. Oh no. So I kind of want the logs to be last whenever I do this sort of thing. Arguably, I don't need to record purely aesthetic moves, but it might actually affect if I don't do, if I'm not able to replay viewing changes like that. It might affect things later. So, yeah, same thing here. Let's record the output and then log the input. It's like kind of a dumb distinction, but it's the distinction I'm making. Okay, so we're changing the view angle. And that should be it. That should just be the viewing angle. Game dot view dot angle. I want to move away from this angle thing and like towards like maybe like vectors, because I don't really like the this 0, 90, 180, 270. I kind of just want to project the game view along a vector. And if I want to change that projection, I can just do that. But I guess it doesn't really matter. That's just how we wrote it originally. Okay, so if I draw this, then I press some buttons. Oh, crash. Okay, so we're getting a crash. The crash is in the uint, and that is because we're using a negative number all of a sudden. And I can't convert to uint a negative number, which is interesting. I feel like Godot can convert a negative number to a uint. I feel like it has no problem doing so. Maybe I need to convert it to some intermediary first. I don't know. Yeah, so we overflew. Did we overflow because it was too big, or value was either too large or too small? Yeah, I guess it was too large because it was a negative. I feel like the Godot side of this handles this okay. So this is because, although, no, we shouldn't be passing negative numbers to the tile map system currently. Although the tile map system can handle negative numbers because you can have negative positions. You can have negative positions in a tile map. So why are you being like this? I think this is just a safety check here. So how does Godot do it? Let's see. Godot tile map source code. Tile map layer. Let's see about this. This is a lot of code. Let's try to find what we're actually looking for. Tile map data. Int 16. Not uint 16. Decode uint 16. Okay, so Godot has a way of encoding int 16s and uint 16. Maybe I need to just convert it to an int 16 first? That's interesting. Because I would like to be able to support negative positions. I might change my mind about this later. Still fixing your tile map thing? Hey, Pon Pon. We're building it up. It's in a state of, kind of working. But I know I'm not solving the bugs that I was dealing with last week. We figured all that stuff out. Now we're just trying to increase the functionality of it. Right now we're figuring out when we pack all our code or all our tile map data, we pack it all into a byte array. But before we do that, we convert it all into uint 16s. And it looks like Godot has a way of encoding signed integers as uint 16s, and C# is not happy when doing the same thing. So I need to think about how to do this. So this is the encoding one. I want the other function. This one. So, okay, so this encodes the uint 16, so it casts it down to a regular int 16 first, and then tries to encode it to a uint 16. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Because then we're just limited in size, and I think size is the issue, not so much the sign of it, because that's the error I'm getting back, is that the data is too big to convert. But I don't know. That probably just has to do with the int's representation of negative numbers, or the int 32's representation of negative numbers. So to fix that, we need to go to the tool system. I'm going to go down here where we convert. Oh, no. That was in tile. So tile needs to, so we need to say to uint 16, should we first say convert dot to int 16? Yeah, let's try this first and see if this works for us. Convert dot to int 16. What is this purple outline? Updating an active statement requires restarting the... Oh, we're in the debugger. Oops. This hopefully addresses this issue, because then we at least shorten the data before we convert it. I feel like Godot can't be unique in its ability to encode negative numbers. All right, so let's lay this out, and then let's try to... So we rotated the game world 1, and this is the result. Okay, no, it's still unhappy with this. Value was either too large or too small for a uint 16. Fascinating. Okay, so Godot has a way of encoding these numbers that is maybe unique. Or maybe I just shouldn't use this converter. Maybe I should just cast it down. What if I just start casting things down? Short. Instead of using the converter. I actually don't know what this converter does. I feel like under the hood it just basically does this, but clearly it has some safety checks or something. Although we shouldn't, in this context, we really shouldn't be passing negative numbers, because the things should be getting casted to a relative coordinate system, which at the moment is positive. Some ghosting here. It's interesting. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, yeah, you're still unhappy. Yeah, Godot has some encoding trick. We could just always enforce that tile maps only ever use positive numbers. It's kind of awkward, but we could do it. We could do it. So let's do that for now, because that's kind of what we're already doing. I kind of want in the future to be able to not have to be limited by that, but for now that's an okay limit. So what we need to understand is why we're passing negative numbers, because we should not be. We should be correctly converting everything into like a view space. And in the view space, it should always remain positive. It should just turn things around. Maybe the pivot's not working correctly, because there isn't a pivot point. It's being like reprojected. I guess the act of rotating things around currently inherently means a negative number, but we need to change that. We need to, so let's look at our, is it a utility? How do we even do this when we're doing our game view turning? Oh, it's a vector function. Vector 3 maybe? Probably, or vector 2. Possibly vector 2. Probably both. Probably doing this both places. Yeah, this is our turn clockwise and turn counterclockwise. So here's the problem. When we're doing it this way, we're just doing the simple, straightforward, just flip the thing. Just change the thing and flip the sign. And that works if you're rotating around the origin. We are not rotating about the origin. We're doing something else. We're rotating about this other point that actually may be between. It may or may not even be on a tile. The rotation point might be in between tiles, depending on whether there's a center tile or not. Yeah, that's not something I want to enforce. It is something I could enforce, though. And probably should, since we're only dealing with integral vectors. I don't know. I gotta think about this a little more. Okay, so we can't do turning. Rip. Rip turning. I need to fix this. I need to think about a different way of doing vector projection that stays absolute. Which isn't that bad. I just need to change where the pivot point is. I probably want to change this to be like an AABB function. Like you ask it to reproject over a volume, over a space, and it like reprojects it for you from like a different angle with the context of like where the space is. Or I could just pass it in like a pivot point, I guess. Could probably also do it that way. Okay. I'll think about that. That's fine. We don't need to work on that part right now. It's kind of nice to be able to turn the camera, but we can currently get by without doing that. We are kind of reaching the end in terms of time here. So I don't know if there's anything I have time to do elsewise, but we're in a pretty good spot. We could try to get erasing blocks to work, but I feel like doing that in 5 minutes is a bit of a tall order. Okay. We did some good stuff today. We got all of the outlining stuff working. We got block exclusivity working, so we can paint blocks over other blocks when it's appropriate, or override them when that's appropriate. We can make really big block creations And have the auto, we can have the outlining cross the Z layers correctly. That's nice. So we get these big blocks. So the auto tiler is pretty much where it was. We need the flood fill system to work so we can tell if an area is like a room. I kind of want to add my like room drag thing. Like the ability to create a room by just dragging out a wall and it just makes the room for you. I want to re-implement that. That's a little tricky, but I definitely want that back in this. It's almost never the case where you want to drag out multiple layers of walls. Like maybe if you're crazy, you might put 2 layers of walls somewhere. But I don't think you'd ever want more than 2 layers of walls. And 1 layer of wall is probably going to be the most common. The only reason you'd have 2 is if you're like, is if I make it so like it's beneficial to have 2. Like if you're a warship and you're like concerned about hull integrity. If you're concerned about like hull breaches or something. Which would be cool. It'll be cool to have hull breaches and stuff in this game. And the auto tiler makes that very doable. But yeah, I think we're in an okay spot. We're streaming through Saturday, so you know we're not anywhere near done for the week. So yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping things up here. I'm gonna cue the music. I said I'm gonna cue the music. There it is. I appreciate everyone tuning in today and checking in. I hope everyone else's projects are going well. And I want to thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye.